suppose I shouldn't say good evening, because if it's good evening, it's already Yom Kippur. And we want to daven mincha, which makes it not Yom Kippur. So good afternoon, everybody. So in a moment, we'll say mincha, and you'll see that after the Amida of mincha, the whole vidui is there, the whole confessional is there. So you're thinking, why do we have to say the confessional again, or already, when it's not yet Yom Kippur, and we're going to be saying the confessional, the vidui, so many times during Yom Kippur? Well, the answer is, traditionally, mincha is said before we eat the meal that we all just finished. So we're here. But I'm still going to encourage you to say the vidui at the end of mincha, because I think it's a beautiful expression of the anxiety that accompanies the day. I'm almost at Yom Kippur, but I'm not there yet. And I want to make sure I'm clean. I want to make sure I have that opportunity to unburden myself in case, God forbid, I don't make it to Kol Nidre. So I think that anxiety is a good thing, just like nervousness is good for even an experienced actor. That's the kind of energy that makes us stand up and pay attention. And so, we are at page 431, Ashrei. I should also say that so long as I have my mask on and my glasses on, I can't see you because they fog up. If I take my glasses off, I can't see you. So I know who some of you are. I look forward to an opportunity to walk around the room and greet as many of you as I can. Gadol. Shomer Anat Kol Avavet Kol Shem Yashmi Tilat Adonai Daber Pi V'Rei Kol V'Soshem Kol Shelo Olam V'Ed Anachnu Nevarechia Yata V'Ed Olam Hallelujah Yitgadal V'Yitkadash Merabah Ve'amadi V'Yimeru Amen Yeshmer Rabam Vorach Olam Me'omayit Barach V'Yishtabach V'Yitpar V'Yitromam V'Yitnaseh V'Yitadar V'Yitala V'Yitala Shmer Kudusha V'Richu Leila Leila Mikol Birchata V'Shirata we stand, we'll begin together and then fall quiet for the individual portion of the Am. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Baruch Ata Adonai Magen Avraham Ufoked Sarah Ata Gibor L'Olam Anotim Rachamim Rabim Somech Noflim Berofei Cholim Matei Osarim Mekayim Monato L'Shenafar Michamocha Bal Givorot Midom Melach Melech Me'mitum Chayim Atzmech Shua Michamocha Av Harachamim Zocher Tzarav L'Chaim Berachamim V'Ne'eman Ata L'Chayot Meitim Baruch Ata Adonai Mechayei HaMeitim. נקדש את שמך בעולם כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, כך כתוב ליד ויחד וקרא זה אל זה ויאמר Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzvaot, Melech ha'aretz kevodo, L'umatam Baruch Yom Beru. Baruch kevod Adonai mimkomo, Udivrei kodshecha katuv lemor. Yimloch Adonai l'olam. Daveners should please continue. Daveners should please continue. I'm at Kaddish Shalem, page 441. יתגדל ויתקדש מרבה, ועמד יברכותי וימליך מלכותי וחייכון וימכון וחי לכל בית ישראל בעגלה בזמן קריב יאמרו אמן. ישמר רב מה מתנשא ויתעלה 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 שמר קודשה בריחו לעילה לעילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה תשכתה ונחמתה. תמירן בעלמה ויאמרו אמן. עלינו לשבח at 442. וכתוב בתורתך, אדוני מלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. The Mourner's Kaddish at 443. יתקדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב יאמרו אמן. ישמי רבה מבורך לעולם עומיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילה לעילה מכל ברתה ושירתה תשבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמא ויאמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ימרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. Kazanstein, we're there. Before Kol Nidre, two preliminaries. The first is it is the congregation's custom that the former presidents of the shul come forward and hold the Sifrei Torah for Kol Nidre. We're not going to do that. One more disruption feels appropriate to me to acknowledge that were we to follow our custom, we would want to and be unable to invite up our former president, Marcia Denny, whom we buried just this afternoon. This building wouldn't look the way it does. This sanctuary would not look the way it does, but for her leadership in the renovation of this building during her term as president. So the very seats you're sitting in tonight, I suppose if you're sitting in the sanctuary, the very seats you're sitting in tonight are a part of Marcia's legacy. We offer our condolences and send our comfort to her family and to our entire congregational family. The second preliminary is that at page 202, I see many of you have put on a talit. If you have not done so, I encourage you to do so. There are talitot on supply in the those storage cabinets to the right and to the left of the back of the sanctuary. So I invite you to put on a talit in white. And I read another teaching about why we wear a kittel on Yom Kippur, and that is when one is buried in tachrichim and white burial shrouds. And a kittel, though in the end it doesn't look like burial shrouds, thank God, it is suggestive of them. And so the kittel is one more reminder to us our lives are finite, and we have to live our lives with an awareness of our mortality, with our awareness of our transience, and let that inspire us to better living. So the bracha for putting on a talit is at page 202, and we will go on now to the beginning of to the introduction to Kol Nidre. We're at 204. A light is sown for the righteous, or zarua lat tzaddik. That is not the light you might imagine. You might fear that that's the light of interrogation, of calling out. But no, look at the second half of the verse. Uli yishrei lev simcha. That is the light of joy. That is the light of freedom and release. Yeah. We open the ark and stand at page 204.
Shiva Shamala Uvishiva Shamata Adat Makom Ve'adat Kahal Anumatirin Leitbalel Yimavayanim Vishiva Shamala Uvishiva Shamata Adat Makom Ve'adat Kahal Anumatirin Kol Vechinuyei, Vechinusei, Oshvot, Dindarna, O de Ishtabana, O de Acharimna, Veda Asarna, Al Navshatana, Yom Kippurim Ad Yom Kippurim Haba Aleinu Letovon Ehon Aicharat Naveon Kulon Ehon Shevikin Shevitin Vitilin Votalin La Shiririn Vela Tayamin Nidrana La Nidre Yatsarana La Esare Ushvuatana La Shvuot Kol Nidre Ve'asarei V'charamei V'konamei V'chinuyei V'kinusei Oshvot Indarna O de Ishtabana O de Acharim Al Navshatana Yom Kippurim Ad Yom Kippurim Haba Aleinu Letova Kulon Icharat Navaon Kulon Eon Shera Shevitin Betelin Ana La Nidre Yasarana La Esahare Ushvuatana La Shvuot Sarei, Vakaramei, Vekoramei, Vechinuyei, Vekinusei, Oshvot. Narana, O the Shabana, O the Akarimana, Veda Asarna. Ad Yom Kippurim Abaleinu Letova. Kolon Icharat Naveon Kolon Shevikin Shevitin Betelin Votalin La Sheririn Vela Kayamin Nidarana la Nidre Velsarana la Sahare Ushavuatana Lashvuot.
V'nislach lechol adat p'nei Yisrael v'lager gar b'tocham ki lechol ha'am bishgaga.
V'nislach lechol adat b'nei Yisrael v'lager gar b'tocham ki lechol ha'am bishgaga. V'nislach lechol adat b'nei Yisrael v'lager gar b'tocham ki lechol ha'am bishgaga. Lechol adat b'nei Yisrael v'lager gar b'tocham ki lechol ha'am bishgaga. Salachna lavonam hazeh kegodel chastecha וכאשר נסעת לעם הזה ממצרים וידהימה ושם נאמר.
Words bolded we say together. Vayomer Adonai salachti kidvarecha. Vayomer Adonai salachti kidvarecha. Vayomer Adonai salachti kidvarecha. Kidvarecha Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam.
Eloheinu melech haolam.
שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
מביא יום מביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה. אדוני צבאות שמו, חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, המריב הרבים, אהבת עולם ישראל. כי חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגע יומם ולילה, ואהבתך אל תסיר. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי אדוני אלוהיכם, אמן. ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם משה ובני ישראל לכנו שירה ושמחה רבה, ואמרו כולם
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה.
מלכותך ראו בניך, כקיים לפני משה. זה לי אנו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. כי פדה אדוני יעקב, וגלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
Amen. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu. We're at page 211.
ושמור צאתנו ראינו לחיים ושלום מעתה ועד עולם, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך. ברוך אתה אדוני, הפורש סוכת שלומנו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים.
Before Chazan Stan continues, I want to linger at the tefillah we've just said at page 211. Let's read it together in English. I guess wherever we see italics, that means it's responsive. Okay. Allow us, Adonai, our God, to sleep peacefully and to awaken again to life, our sovereign. Shield us. Remove from us enemies and pestilence, sword, starvation, and sorrow, and remove the evil forces that surround us. Ensure our going and coming for life and peace now and forever. This nighttime of tonight. What are our hopes? What are our worries? What are we chasing? And what is chasing us in our sleep? When we wake up in the middle of the night, or are woken up in the middle of the night, what do we think of as we try to settle back down to sleep? So on this Kol Nidre night, on this long day that will conclude in the next evening, where do we hope to be at this time tomorrow night? Where do we hope to be at this time tomorrow night? What do we need to do to get there? And may we rest well tonight. We're at page 212.
יכפר עליכם, לתאר אתכם, מכל חטאותיכם, לפני אדוני תטהרו.
After the Chatzi Kaddish, beginning at page 213,
ברק ירותי וימליך מלכותי. וחייכון וימכון וחיי לכל בית ישראל פגע ובזמן קריב ואמרו
Amen.
יש מרם ברך לעולם עולם העיה ויתרומם וינשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שם עיר קודשה בריחו לעילה לעילה בכל בכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה תאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן.
At 223, we have a magnificent piyut, a magnificent poem. Look carefully at the words. Me erev, mi boker ad arev. This piyut expresses an awareness that we are on a 25-hour journey, evening to morning to evening. What can happen in the space of a single day? 223.
ויעלה תחנוננו מערב, ויבוא שבתנו מבוקר, וירא רינוננו
עד ערב.
ויעלה עינוינו מערב, ויבוא סליחתנו מבוקר, וירא נקתנו
עד ערב.
ויעלה מנוסינו מערב, ויבוא למענו מבוקר, וירא כיפורנו
עד ערב.
ויעלה אישנו מערב, ויבוא תורנו מבוקר, וירא חינוננו עד
ערב.
ויעלה זיכרוננו מערב, ויבוא ויודנו מבוקר, וירא עדתנו
עד ערב.
ויעלה דרכנו מערב, ויבוא גילינו מבוקר, וירא בקשתנו
עד ערב.
ויעלה אנקתנו מערב, וירא אלינו עד ערב.
I'm reading at the lower left margin on 224. In that strange night, someone asked, "Can you change the past?" And the woman who was ill angrily responded, "The past is not a piece of jewelry sealed in a crystal box, nor is it a snake. It trembles within the present, and when the present falls into a pit, the past goes with it. When the past looks toward heaven, all of life is upraised, even the distant past." But the lonely man muttered, "Did not Abraham once stride the earth, he who did not seem attached to even the cord of the one who gave him birth?"
לקדמה פנה בתודה וזמירות נריע לו, אשר לא היה והוא עשהו, ויבש את ידיו יצרו, אשר בידו נפש כל חי, ורוח כל בשר היא.
At 225, the soul is yours, the body is your creation. Have compassion on your handiwork. Haneshama lach.
הנשמה לך והגוף לך, חוזה חוזה על המלאך, הנשמה לך והגוף אתה נושמך אדוני, וסלחת לעווננו, כי רבו.
Join me responsively on the left panel. We come before you relying on who you are. You are known as a gracious, compassionate God. Your way is to be patient with sinners, not only with righteous. That is the source of our praise for you. Grant relief to this driven leaf. Have compassion on that which is but dust and ashes. We're at 226.
עבור על פשעתי מחשם, כיום ויתייצב עמושם. תאזין שבתנו ותקשיב מנו מאמר, כיום ויקרא בשם אדוני. ויעבור אדוני על פניו, ויקרא אדוני.
חסד לאלפים, נושא עוון ופשע, וחטא ונקי.
וסלחת לעווננו ולחטאתנו, ונחלתנו. סלח לנו
אבינו כי חטאנו, מחל לנו מלכנו כי פשענו. כי אתה אדוני טוב וסלח, ורב חסד לכל קוראיך, ורב חסד לכל קוראיך. We can be seated. We're at 227.
כך אומר ביד היוצר, ברצותו מרחיב וברצותו מקצר, כן אנחנו בידך חסד נוצר, לברית הבית, לברית הבית, ואל תפן ליצר, כי הנה כאבן ביד המסתית, ברצותו חז וברצותו מחטט, כן אנחנו בידך, לחיה וממוטט, לברית הבית,
לברית הבית,
ואל ליצר, כי הנה כגרזן ביד החרש, ברצותו דיבק לאור, ברצותו פירוש, כן אנחנו בידך תומך נברש, לברית הבית,
לברית הבית,
שילח, כן אנחנו בידך, אל טוב וסלח, לברית הבית, לברית הבית, תפן ליצר, כי הנה כזכוכית ביד המזגב, ברצותו חוגג וברצותו ממוגג, כן אנחנו בידך, אכל זדון, כן אנחנו בידך, אכל זדון ושגג, לברית הבית, ואל תפן ליצר, כי הנה כירייה ביד הרוקים, ברצותו מיישר וברצותו מעקים, כן אנחנו בידך, אל כנו ונוקים, לברית הבית, לברית הבית,
ואל תפן ליצר.
כי הנה ככסף ביד הצורף, ברצותו משגשג וברצותו מצרף, כן אנחנו בידך ממשיל למזור טרף לברית הבית ואל תפן ליצר.
I am honored to invite now to the Bima our president, Amy Blumenthal, for some remarks.
First of all, can you hear me? Yes? Okay. So I decided I'd leave out the last 50 pages or so of my remarks, so we're good. So, Gemar Chatima Tova. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Amy Blumenthal, and I'm the new president of CBINT. My husband Ed and I and our two daughters, Emily and Rachel, joined Bethel Ner Tamid when we moved to Milwaukee in 2003, and then we moved over to CBINT 5 or so years later. I would like to start by reflecting on being an outsider. What do I mean by that? I grew up in Los Angeles. Don't tell anybody this, but I'm an actual Valley girl, like totally. Growing up, I attended one of the largest conservative synagogues in the country. I believe we had a membership of about 3,000 families at that time. We were members, but my family had no real community in that synagogue, and I always felt like an outsider. During the high holidays, there were 3 huge simultaneous services, one in the main sanctuary, one in the social hall, and one off-site in the huge ballroom of a hotel called the Sportsman's Lodge that was several miles away. Every year, my family attended Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur services at the Sportsman's Lodge, so we were literally outside the synagogue for the high holy days. Flash forward to when Ed and the girls and I moved to Milwaukee at Marquette University. We had never been to Wisconsin in our lives, and we didn't know a soul. And what an incredible community we found at Bethel and then at CBINT. We so enjoyed being part of this, involved on committees and then on the board, and now here I am as president. The appreciation I have for this community, my perspective on how special it is, I have because I came to it from the outside, which made me appreciate all the more that we were welcomed in. And here our CBINT community is tonight in the 2nd year of the pandemic. The current public health situation continues to impact each and every one of us profoundly in our family, work, social, and religious lives. None of us could have imagined that we would be in this situation with COVID looming so large again this year. Many of you are physically outside the building right now, watching this service on Zoom or a streaming service. But I want to say to you that while you are physically outside these walls right now, you are not an outsider. You are a valued and appreciated member of our congregational family, and we are all experiencing this Kol Nidre service together as a community. So what is the value of being a member of this community if we're not all physically together? I believe that there is profound value, that this community can enrich our lives spiritually, intellectually, socially, that we can care for each other and support each other, but they have been happening over the course of the last year, and there are exciting plans for the year ahead. I want to share a few highlights. In addition to in-person and virtual Shabbat services and minyanim, there has been personal outreach to congregants from clergy, staff, and volunteers. We distributed 300 take-home Kiddush lunches, 375 Mishloach Manot packages, and 200 life cycle and congregate care meals this past year. There were 25 sisterhood events, 3 sponsored JTS Scholars Cream lecture series, and a 12-week JTS ethical life course taught by Rabbi Alter. Rabbi Alter going before the Beit Din and converting to Judaism. We had 3 beautifully attended outdoor Shabbat and the round services led by Hazan Stein over the summer, and over 100 people enjoyed our congregational picnic in August. Tot Shabbat services were a success over the summer, and both Tot Shabbat and Shabbat and the Round will continue on a monthly basis beginning in October. Shabbat and the Round will continue on a monthly basis beginning in October. We're also excited for Hazan Stein's annual concert coming up on October 24th. Special thanks to our Chesed Committee, who for Rosh Hashanah distributed nearly 40 plants to congregants who lost a loved one over the past year. In July, we welcomed Beata Abraham, our new Director of Congregational Learning and Programming. She has jumped into her new role and is going full steam ahead. This includes launching Shabbat youth programs for our elementary and teen population and a new preschool program for kids ages 3 and 4 on Sundays. A new children's library room for kids up to first grade is almost ready for use. Thanks to the generosity of Dolores Kramer, we will have a new outdoor children's play structure, plus benches for grown-ups and an indoor-outdoor Gaga pit. Totally excited about that. We also have a brand new art room that will be ready for the start of religious school in October, thanks to Cindy Cooper's generosity. Beata is planning enriching programming and learning opportunities for congregants of all ages and stages of life for the coming year, and I'm hoping many of you will not only attend, but get involved to help make these programs happen. Thanks to everyone, staff and volunteers who help our Kehillah in these many projects and efforts. I am thrilled to share that our membership has grown over the past year despite the pandemic, and it continues to grow steadily. We welcomed 20 new members in 2020, and we have welcomed 12 new member households already this year since July 1. And I'd like to invite Rabbi Alter to join me so we can mention those names.
Go ahead.
I may mispronounce some, so forgive.
Sure.
Sure.
It's the holiday of responsive reading.
Yeah, there we go.
Go ahead.
Linda Mitz,
Scott Pitlick,
Rosie and Michael Bamberger,
Cheryl and Claudio Pelk,
Aviva and Joshua Herman,
Ora Hirschman,
Susan Getz,
Anna Raven, and how do I pronounce it properly in the French? Cedric, Briand,
Michael Story and Sean Story,
Carrie Fleider,
Anya van Wagtendonk,
and Christine Gilbert.
And Megan and Zachary Singer.
And there are several more in process in the run-up to the high holidays. I officially lost count. There are lots of applications in process. Is there anyone in the room who is in process that we have failed?
So fun fact, our congregation has over 20 kids in the 0 to 3 age group, life partner. Perhaps you are LGBTQ+, or newly converted to Judaism. We see you and you are important to us. Please let us know what you are looking for and how you want to connect. And better yet, please step up to volunteer to make those programs. Behind all of these efforts, growth, and so much more are our beloved clergy, Rabbi Alter and Hazan Stein, whose spiritual leadership, thoughtful and compassionate outreach, and supportive partnership and friendship inspire us all. I'm also grateful for the tireless dedication of our staff, led by Executive Director Don Shane, and our volunteer leadership. We have a dedicated, capable, creative executive committee and board, and a committed, enthusiastic group of new and upcoming leaders. Our CBINT community is thriving, and there are many ways for you to connect and get involved. If you are looking for ways to get involved, call the office, call me. We can't wait to hear from you. At the same time, there are members of our congregational family who are struggling right now, who feel alone and isolated, who need our help and connection. If that is you, please, please let someone know. Or if you know a member who needs our help or support, please let someone know. Call the office, call Rabbi Alter, call Hazan Stein, call me. Our congregational family is here to support and help you when you need it. That's what a family does. Another critical way we can support our beloved congregation is by giving. Thanks so much to all of you who sent in your annual Tzedakah membership pledges. That is the way each of us raises our hand and says, I affirm that I am part of this Kehila Kadosha, this sacred community, and I want to support this community so that together we can thrive. If you haven't sent in your tzedakah pledge yet, I would urge you to please do so. And tonight we are going to continue our annual custom on Kol Nidre, that of folding down a tab for our high holiday appeal in support of our congregation. Each year, in addition to our tzedakah membership pledges, our congregation depends on your giving generously to the high holiday facilities you expect on and rely on, and we want to do even more. Simply put, our ability to do so depends entirely on your financial support, and we are extremely grateful for your generosity. For those of you who are here in person, I ask you now to take out your high holiday tickets with your name on it and give a gift of support that is meaningful to you by folding down a tab to indicate the amount you wish to give. We will collect those now, and the office will follow up with you after Yom Kippur. For those of you on Zoom, please send in your high holiday appeal donations. Thanks to all of you for stepping up and for giving generously. In closing, I want to wish each and every one of you Shana Tova. May you have a sweet, happy, healthy year ahead, and may our Kehila Kadosha, our congregational family, go from strength to strength. Gemar Tov, and may you all have an easy fast.
Amy, thank you so much. As the pledge cards are collected, I just want to mention how lucky I feel that Amy is our president. She is a person of vision, of action, of great trust, and great integrity. And we are and will be a better congregation for her leadership. And I say that having served now, Amy, you're my third president. And the not so immediate past president, we benefit and continue to benefit from them all. Thank you for your leadership, and may we all be inspired to follow in your lead. Follow your lead. I think we're going to turn now to page 229. El Melech Yosef.
El Melech Yosef al kisei rachamim Ari 13 כמו שהודעת לנו מקדם כמו שכתוב וירד אדוני בענן ויתייצב עמו שם ויקרא בשם אדוני ויעבור אדוני על פניו ויקרא
We stand.
אדוני
Adonai El Rachum V'Chanun Erech Chaim V'Rav Chesed V'Emet
נוצר חסד לרחמים, נוצר עוון ופשע, וחטאה ונקי. וסלחת לעווננו לחטאתנו ונחלתנו. סלח לנו אבינו
כי חטאנו מחלנו מלכנו כי פשענו כי אתה אדוני טוב וסלח כי אתה אדוני טוב וסלח ורב חסד
ורב חסד לכל קוראיך
ורב chesed lechol korecha. We can be seated. We turn now to page 200. I'm going to read at the top of the page. Your kindness accompanied me. Even before I came to be, your kindness accompanied me. For from nothing you formed me. Who was it who fashioned me, spun the clay, fired the kiln, hardened me? Who breathed life into me, opened the belly of the deep, pulled me out, who guided me from childhood to today, gave me understanding, filled me with wonder, though I am but clay in your hands. Was it not you who made me? Truly, you, not me. Yet, I confess my sins. I do not say that I was fooled by another who beguiled me. Why would I try to hide my sin from you? For even before I came to be, your kindness accompanied me. Terem heoti chastecha va'ani. 232.
El melech yoshev al kisei rachamim, minaheg b'chasidut, mochel avonot amo, mavir rishon rishon, marve mechila l'chataim u'shlicha l'poshim, עושה צלקות עם כל בשר ורוח, לא חרתם תגמול. אל הורית לומר 13, זכור לנו היום בריא 13, כמו שהודעת לעניו מקדם, כמו שכתוב, וירא אדוני עבור אדוני על פניו, ויקרא אדוני.
חסד ואמת, נוצר חסד לאלפים, נושא עוון ופשע, וחטא ונקה.
וסלחת לעווננו ולחטאתנו, ונחתנו. סלח לנו אבינו,
כי חטאנו, מחלנו, מלכנו, כי פשענו, כי אתה, אדוני, טוב וסלח, כי אתה, אדוני, טוב וסלח, ורב חסד, לכל קוראך, ורב חסד, לכל קוראך. We may be seated briefly.
תרחם אדוני עלינו, לאדוני ישוע עמך וחטאך סלח. אדוני צבאות עמנו משכב לנו אלוהי יעקב סלח. אדוני צבאות אשר אדם בוטח בך. אדוני יושיע המלך יעננו ויום קורנו. סלח נא לעוונם הזה כגודל חסדך, וכאשר נסעת לעם הזה ממצרים וידענה, ושם נאמר
ויאמר אדוני סלחתי כדבריך, כפר חטאתנו ביום הזה ותעברנו כמה שכתוב, כי ביום הזה כפר עליכם לצער אתכם מכל חטאותיכם לפני אדוני תתארו. הביאנו אל הר קודשך ושמחנו בתפילתך כמה שכתוב, כי ביתי בית תפילה יקרא לכל העמים. The Aron Kodesh is opened and we stand. We're at 233.
Shema Kolenu, Shema ורחם עלינו, לקבל ברחמים וברצון את תפילתנו.
שמע קולנו, אדוני אלוהינו, חוס רחם עלינו, קבל ברחמים ורצון את תפילתנו.
השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה. חדש ימינו כקדם.
השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה, חדש ימינו, רוח קודשך אל תיקח ממנו.
אל תשליכנו לעת זקנה, ככלה כוחנו, אל תעזבנו.
אל תשליכנו לעת זקנה, ככלות כוחנו, אל תעזבנו. אל תעזבנו. אנו כעליך ואתה חלקי, אנו נחלתך ואתה גורלנו, אנו צונך ואתה רוענו, אנו חרמך ואתה נוטרנו, אנו גאולתך ואתה יוצרנו, אנו רעייתך ואתה דודנו, אנו סגולתך ואתה קרובנו, אנו עמך ואתה מלכנו, אנו מאמירך ואתה מאמירנו, אנו הזפנים ואתה רחום
אנו הזפנים ואתה רחום וחנון, אנו כשאור יפייתה ערך כפיים, אנו מלא עוון ואתה מלא רחמים, אנו ימינו כצל עובר, ואתה ושנותיך לא יתמו. אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, תבוא לפניך תפילתנו, ואל תתעלה מפינתנו, שאין אנחנו על זפנים, וכשעורף לומר לפניך,
אשמנו, בגדנו, גזלנו, דיברנו דופי, זהדנו, חמסנו, טפלנו שקר. איי 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 צנורה,
עזבנו, לצנו, מרדנו, ניאצנו, שררנו, אבינו, פשענו, שררנו,
כיסינו עורף.
איי איי איי
איי איי איי איי איי רשענו, שחטנו, תיעבנו, טעינו, תיטענו, סהרנו ממצוותיך.
אנו ממצוותיך וממשפטיך הטובים ולא שבה לנו, ואתה צדיק על כל הבעלינו, כי אמת עשית, ואנחנו הרשענו.
We can be seated for a moment. We're at page. Yes, please.
Transforming and knowing our most secret thoughts. We live in a world of illusion. We each think we are separate, alone, cut off, misunderstood, unwanted. We forget we are part of your glory, each of us a unique ray of your light. As we live our lives rent asunder, each in our own small world, help us to remember what we often forget. We need one another, we each are part of the other, and in some place, so well known, yet so secret, we may find our true solace in you.
Thank you. At 237, we stand again for the Al-Khaits. We'll do the first section in Hebrew, the second in English, and the third in Hebrew. But as I say every year, if the Hebrew is out of reach for you, please say the English. Don't worry that your English is cacophonous with somebody else's Hebrew. God invented. Al-Khaït shechatanu lefanecha b'gidui arayot, Al-Khaït shechatanu lefanecha b'galui u'basater, Al-Khaït shechatanu lefanecha b'dad u'mirma, Al-Khaït shechatanu lefanecha b'dibur peh, Al-Khaït shechatanu lefanecha b'honat re'ah, Al-Khaït shechatanu lefanecha b'hor lev alev, Al-Khaït shechatanu lefanecha b'midat zenut, Al-Khaït shechatanu lefanecha b'vidui peh, Al-Khaït shechatanu lefanecha b'zilzul u'mirma, Al-Khaït shechatanu lefanecha b'dibur peh, Al-Khaït shechatanu lefanecha b'honat re'ah, Al-Khaït shechatanu lefanecha b'hor lev alev, Al-Khaït shechatanu lefanecha b'midat zenut, Al-Khaït shechatanu lefanecha b'chilul Hashem, Al-Khaït shechatanu lefanecha b'tumat tzvatayim, Al-Khaït shechatanu lefanecha b'tifshut peh,
Al-Khaït shechatanu lefanecha b'yitzer hara,
Al-Khaït
shechatanu lefanecha
b'yodim u'v'lo yodim,
ve'al kulam elo selichot, shelach lanu mechalanu, kaper lanu.
We have sinned against you through denial and deceit,
And we have sinned against you by taking bribes.
we have sinned against you by clever
And we
cynicism.
have sinned against you by speaking ill of others.
We have sinned against you by the way we do business.
And we have sinned against you in our eating and drinking.
We have sinned against you by greed and oppressive interest.
And we have sinned against you through arrogance.
We have sinned against you in everyday
And
conversation.
we have sinned against you through conspiratorial glances.
We have sinned against you through condescension.
And we have sinned against you through stubbornness.
Ve'al
Al kulam elo selichot, shelach lanu mechalanu,
kaper lanu, Al-Khaït shechatanu lefanecha.
Al-Khaït shechatanu lefanecha b'frikat ol,
Al-Khaït shechatanu lefanecha b'flilut.
Al-Khaït shechatanu lefanecha b'tdiat re'ah,
Al-Khaït shechatanu lefanecha b'tzarut ha'id.
Al-Khaït shechatanu lefanecha b'kalut roh,
Al-Khaït shechatanu lefanecha b'kashut oref.
Al-Khaït shechatanu lefanecha b'ritzat raglayim naharav,
Al-Khaït shechatanu lefanecha b'irchilut.
Al-Khaït shechatanu lefanecha b'shvuat shav,
Al-Khaït shechatanu lefanecha b'sinat chinam.
Al-Khaït shechatanu lefanecha b'tzumet yad,
Al-Khaït shechatanu
tzumet yad,
Al-Khaït shechatanu lefanecha b'timhon levav.
Al kulam elo selichot, shelach lanu mechalanu, kaper lanu.
We can be seated. powerful moments for me in this last year was, and I've spoken about this before, was at a funeral when she lived in Chicago, had purchased with her husband a burial plot there. And her elderly husband felt he was, between his fitness and COVID, he felt he was able to Chicago to bury her. Their 2 adult children live in 2 different places in the country, 2 different parts of the country, and they felt because of COVID, they could not come to bury her. So the body was brought to Chicago. I traveled to Chicago. And there on Zoom, I asked each of them, the widower, the daughter, and the son, if they would appoint me their shaliach, their emissary, for the mitzvah of burying their wife and mother. They said, yes, I do, each of them in turn. I carried out one of the great mitzvot that it is ours to fulfill. Another great experience I had in the last year, one of the most significant, and it affects some of you who are here in the room tonight and others of you who are joining us virtually, is, as Amy mentioned, I carried a group of conversion candidates through the process of learning, leading up to a Beit Din, the tribunal, where their new commitment to Judaism, their renunciation of any prior commitment, a religious commitment, was formalized, and they were brought to the mikveh. 2 have yet to go. Scheduling, bless you, scheduling is not so easy. We'll get there. These experiences come to mind tonight because we said these words, do you appoint me? They said, yes, I do. And I carried out this act. I see some nodding heads, and I agree with you, and they agree with you. Yes, they fulfilled their mitzvah. What a wonderful thing. I held the shovel. I did the digging. But they fulfilled their mitzvah. Somebody approaches me and says, I'm interested in becoming Jewish, and they learn with me for a period of time, and no one in the world would recognize them as a Jew at that point. At the end of the process, they sit before a tribunal. The tribunal asks them some questions. They give their answers, their formal declaration. They enter into the mikveh according to the rules of our tradition, and they emerge from the water, and they're a Jew. What a wonderful thing. But is it magic? It's not, is it? It's real. Many of you in the room tonight are married or have been married. You stepped under the chuppah, a single individual, and you walked away from that chuppah after a few words spoken with a relationship of emotional and legal standing. Your family. Is it magic? These are valuable cases to reflect on as we think about our core reason for being here tonight. How do we gain forgiveness? How does it happen that we have a burden, the burden of our errors? And please God, we will walk out of this building or turn off our device, our screen tomorrow night, depending. And please God, we will feel unburdened. How does that happen? According to the ritual that our ancient ancestors practiced, which we'll read about in the Torah reading tomorrow, the priest proclaimed that the sins of the people were set upon the goat sent to Azazel. Off it went to the wilderness, and there went the burden of sin. There was also the goat to Adonai and many other sacrifices besides, as we'll read. The commentators who lived hundreds or even 1,000 or more years after that ritual was established, and long after that ritual was abandoned with the destruction of the temples, they looked at this and they were very uncomfortable with it, actually. They tried to explain it this way and that way. What really is going on there? Is it magic? The question is an important one for you and me, for all of us, because it's important that we be here tonight there is seeking forgiveness of God, and they're seeking forgiveness of one another. In seeking forgiveness of God, we go through the ritual we're now doing. We recite particular prayers. We invoke again and again God's attributes of compassion, of mercy, God's inclination, God's desire to forgive. God, this is who you are. Read, this is who I need you to be. We confess our sins. We speak aloud again and again, as we just did, these categories of wrongdoing, specific acts of wrongdoing, because we know that we will find ourselves in that list. If we don't find ourselves in that list, we're not paying attention. And in the end, when that shofar is sounded, when we chant together, Adonai hu ha-Elohim, Adonai hu ha-Elohim, Adonai hu ha-Elohim, catharsis. So is it in the words? Is it in the ritual? Our commentators and our teachers and our poskim are from how we seek and grant forgiveness of one another. We seek it by asking for it. We seek it by acknowledging who we really are. We seek it by striving to be people who deserve it. How do we grant forgiveness? We grant forgiveness by granting it. By recognizing that it's ours to give. Granting it, giving it, releasing. We have to have faith and hope in what's possible when forgiveness is granted. We have to be willing to admit that at a certain point, by holding on to the hurt. The debate going on right now about whether Sirhan should be paroled or not, right? The assassin of Robert F. Kennedy. Ethel Kennedy says no, some of the children say yes, some of the children say no. This is fascinating. At what point is forgiveness appropriate? Is it ever appropriate? Are there certain wrongs that are beyond all possibility of forgiveness? Or maybe not? In the end, forgiveness, the project of this day, is an exercise in trust, trust in ritual, trust in process, trust in our own integrity, trust in the reality of free will, trust in the possibility that people can change. It's an exercise in trust. And in that sense, forgiveness is not so much a leap of faith as it is an act of faithfulness. To stand, to allow a repair to begin. And it's a great expression of love. Of God's love for us. Of God's love for us. And our love for humanity. So is it in the words? Certainly, but not only. If we think it's only in the words, then we're practicing or we're inching toward a kind of magic. But if we grant that this exercise in forgiveness, that the project of this day is fundamentally one of relationship, fundamentally one of taking ourselves seriously enough as seekers of forgiveness and as granters of it, with one another, with God, and of course with ourselves, then this day has the hope of success. Is done when this has been granted. I wish for all of hopeful and successful Yom Kippur. L'shana tova tikatevu v'techatemu. Let's get back our own hearts. We are at page 242 at the bottom of the page. Rachmana deyane la'aniyei aneina Rachmana deyane lemakichei rucha aneina Rachamana da'anei la'aniyei aneina Rachamana aneina Rachamana chus Rachamana Peruk Rachamana Shazev Rachamana Rachemalan Hashtavalau Lizman Kariv 240 Avinu Malkeinu Achzirenu B'Yitra Shem Alfanecha
Avinu Malkeinu Shalach Refuah Shlema L'Cholei Amecha
Avinu Malkeinu Shalach Refuah Shlema L'Cholei Amecha
Avinu Malkeinu Zochreinu V'Zikaron Tov Lefanecha
Avinu Malkeinu Zochreinu V'Zikaron Tov Lefanecha
Chaim Tovim
Avinu Malkeinu Kodvenu V'Sefer Chaim Tovim
Avinu Malkeinu Kodvenu V'Sefer Gula V'Yeshua
Avinu Malkeinu Kodvenu V'Sefer Gula V'Yeshua
Avinu Malkeinu Kodvenu V'Sefer Parnasa V'Chalkala
Avinu Malkeinu Kodvenu V'Sefer Parnasa V'Chalkala
Avinu Malkeinu Kodvenu V'Sefer Zechuyot
Avinu Malkeinu Kodvenu V'Sefer
Avinu
Zechuyot
Malkeinu Kodvenu V'Sefer Slicha
Avinu Malkeinu Kodvenu V'Sefer Slicha U'Mechila Avinu Malkeinu V'Atzmachna Neshua B'Kav Avinu Malkeinu V'Arayim Keren Yisrael Amecha Avinu Malkeinu Kabel Brachim Avinu Malkeinu V'Nadin Avinu Zachor Gevaran Avinu Malkeinu Salaman Avinu Malkeinu Salaman Avinu Malkeinu Salaman Chaim Lo Lamanenu Avinu Malkeinu Chanenu Ankeinu Manu Masi Masi Manzak Avachesed Oshienu
Avinu Malkeinu Aseh L'Mayin Chaim Lo L'Manenu Avinu Malkeinu Chanenu Vanenu Avinu Malkeinu Chanenu V'Chesed Aseh Imanu Zaka V'Chesedinu
The Aron Kodesh is closed. Kaddish Shalem 245. Amen.
ועלמא דברכותי ומחמכותי בחייכוני ומחורכי לכל בית ישראל ועגלה בזמן קריב אמרו
Amen. Yeshmer Rabba Mevorach Li'olam Romei Omaya Yitba.
יברך וישבח ויברא ונעשה ותדע ותלבד אללה שמר קודשה
Brichu.
ברכו לעילה לעילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה תשבחתה ונחמה אמן תקבל צאתו נבדו נכל ישראל כל עמוני ושמיה ויאמרו אמן יהי שלום רבה משמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן עושה שלום במרומיו יעשה שלום עלינו ועל אמן. וידעת יום השבות על לבבך כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל מתחת הכתוב בתורתך אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד
ונאמר היה אדוני למלך על כל העי אחד ושמו quick announcement about tomorrow. We are starting our service at 9:30. Our best guess about when we will arrive at the Torah service is 10:10. If you have an honor, please be here by about 10 o'clock. If you have an honor in the Torah service, that is, please be here by about 10 o'clock to be sure to catch your honor. If we run late, hey, more time to seek and grant forgiveness.
We'll be seeking forgiveness if it goes on.
Actually, funny you should say that, because I meant to say this as part of my remarks and I forgot. Speaking of seeking forgiveness, another amazing experience I've had this year. It's been a particularly intense year for pastoral needs, or a season for me anyway, of pastoral needs. And I'm very conscious of that mystery of what happens in the relationship I establish with you. We make a mishaberach, we talk a little bit, I touch your hand. I know it's important, and I try to offer it as broadly as I can. I know that I've reached some of you, and I know that I've missed some of you. If you feel unseen by me, text almost exactly. So even if you don't have your booklet, you have it. But there are a few pieces that we read from our booklet that are not in the Machzor, and that's why it's valuable to have your own book. Okay, I think that is it for announcements. We are at Psalm 27, the psalm for the season. We're at page 248, Mourner's Kaddish, and then Yigdal. 248.
לדוד אדוני אורי,
לדוד
שמי
אדוני
מירה,
אורי.
אדוני מאוד חי ממי הנחה
אולי אמרתי חזק מצידך, קבל אדוני.
לולא אמרתי לירוק כתוב אדוני בארץ חיים, קווה על אדוני חזק, ויאמץ ליבך.
Mourner's Kaddish is at 247. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemer Abba lich malchutei b'chayei uv'yomei uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael bagala uv'izman kariv yimeru amen yishmer Abba mevorach le'olam omei omaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnasei v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal shemer kudesha b'riel v'yimeru amen. Yigdal, 30 in the morning.
יגדל אלוהים חי וישתבח, נמצא ועדת אל מציאותו, אחד אין יחיד כייחודו, נעלם וגם אין סוף לאחדותו. הגוף ואינו גוף, לא נערוך אליו קדושתו, אדמון לכל דבר אשר נברא ראשון וראשית לראשיתו, הינו אדון עולם לכל נוצר, יורה גדולתו ומלכותו, שפע נבואתו נתנו אנשי סגולתו ותפארתו, לא קם בישראל כמו שאון נביט את אמונתו, תורת אמת נתן ולעמואל היה נביאו, נאמן ביתו לא יכל לפעל ולא ימיר דתו לעולמים לזולתו, צופה ויודע שתערינו מביט לסוף דבר בקדמתו, גומר לאיש חסד כמפעלו, לרשע רע כרשעתו, ישלח לקטעמין משיחנו לפתור מרוך חסדו, ברוך אדיה שם תהילתו, מתים יחיה